Well, hey guys, welcome to week 5. I sure hope you have enjoyed this course, and I hope you've been challenged by its content. I know there's a lot offered in it, so I hope you have come away with some new knowledge. I'm almost certain that you have. I also hope that you will stay safe with all this crazy weather. Well, it's crazy for us down here in Texas. I'm not sure about where you guys are from, but we can handle the bird-sized mosquitoes, but this cold weather, we struggle. So anyway, I hope you all stay safe and have a good week. So let's get started. First things first. Even though you're watching a recording of this information, I would like for you to take a minute to reflect on this course. Just think about what stands out to you. What did you learn? What did you find out that you didn't even know was out there? Reflection is just such an important part and component of higher education that we really encourage. And after you complete your weekly assignment, then I would also encourage you just to take a breather with your friends and or your family, or just get caught up on stuff that's hard to do when you're in school. Take a breather for yourself, get your thoughts together and rest a little bit. You're one step closer to completing this program, and we know this is a sacrifice. We all did it as well, but it is a sacrifice that you will never regret and that is forever worth it. So. Okay, let's get started. Think for a minute about your days when you were in school, or even now. Do you know of anyone who left the district and went to another district under a looming cloud of quote unquote questionable actions or suspicions? And I love true crime stories personally. And a lot of the time, the perpetrator is caught when there's a detective that runs maybe like a fingerprint or DNA through this nationwide database, and you find your perpetrator, right? Well, what we're about to talk about is a little bit like that. Well, maybe not that extreme, but a lot like that. With so many incidences of inappropriate relationships between teacher and student, parents are kind of left there to wonder, like, how are people getting hired to work with children, especially if they have a proven history and problems with things like that. Until now, there was really no central database for teacher investigators to lead background checks. They had to do them solely district by district. That means that sometimes, as we know, teachers whose criminal charges ended up like in a plea deal, or maybe they would settle with the district, they could go unnoticed, and that teacher possibly could have landed a new job that he or she should not have landed. This registry requires schools to report to the TEA, Texas Education Agency, when there is evidence that an employee would require schools to report to the TEA when the teacher was involved in inappropriate relationships with a student. So it would all be in one database together. The registry would require schools to report to the TEA, so require them, and look for evidence as far as the employee being involved in an inappropriate relationship with a student. TEA then uses those entries, and then they create kind of a one-stop shop registry of the individuals who are not eligible for hire in Texas. They make sure that any teacher employee who harms a child will never step foot into another classroom again. So it's a very positive experience, and not a positive experience, a very positive step forward in education. The registry, it also makes it clear to district leaders that if a teacher is even under investigation, that district cannot hire them. And if a district fails to meet these new reporting requirements that are mandated by House Bill 3, then the district will be subject to sanctions from the State Board of Education educator certification. They may get state fines. They may have criminal charges if there was an intent to conceal information. So it's a very big deal, and it's something you need to be aware of. And thankfully, every district in Texas now can check a current employee or prospective hire and look in the registry to see if there's anything registered under that teacher. They are, in fact, now required to look and make sure that the people that they are hiring are not listed on the registry. We wanted to make sure you knew about this registry, and as you become leaders in your campuses. I'm just curious, obviously you can't answer me back, but were you even aware of this? Did you even know that there was a no hire list or a registry? Maybe this is a new piece of information that will be very helpful to you in the future. And it's an example of staying on top of the new laws and policies that are passed. So remember last week we talked about how ignorance is not a defense. So that is why we stress the importance of keeping up with, Dr. Allen actually talked about a lot of them last week, but, different teacher companies and the teacher-sponsored protections that you can buy into. It's super important to figure out a way to get the new information sent to you. So maybe if they send out regular newsletters, or she talked about Twitter, the Law Dogs. He's on Twitter. And so there's different ways that you can have new information, especially something that's this big and important. You don't want to go without knowing it, because you're the leader now, and then you will be responsible for stuff like that. Okay. Second topic of the week 5 is about ethics. Potter Stewart said, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. I really hope and believe that your personal ethics will blow the enforced educational ethical standards just out of the water. I really believe that. There are so many gray areas, and I would highly encourage you right now to set those personal ethical standards, like right now, before you're in a leadership role. If you're already in a leadership role, then they should be set in advance. But really take some time to think about, just as your person, what are some, steadfast rules that you're going to implement on yourself? What are some generic personal ethical issues that you could see or that you hold yourself to? Like even being on time to work. What about that one? Or what about giving 100% at your job? Is that a personal ethic that you want to enforce on yourself? What about being on time to work? What about being honest, right? Being honest at work. Can you think of any others? We have discussed personal ethics, and now we will look at the professional standards. So who knew that there are actual ethical standards set forth for you educators, us educators, to follow? Did you even know that existed? I hope you did. The Educators Code of Ethics is set forth, and not as a recommendation, but consider it more of a commandment, right? It's in the Texas Administrative Code, and it provides rules for standard practices and ethical conduct towards several different types of people. So towards students, professional colleagues, school officials, parents, and even members of the community. So educators are held to an extremely high standard. If you think about it, that makes sense, though, because you are in charge and challenged with developing minds of students, right? So our level of care should be above and beyond even what laws are implemented. Just our personal ethics should hold us to the fire, right? That we're doing the right thing and then we're providing what we need to provide for the students. So, like, if for an ethical teacher, you would follow beliefs and values that are dedicated to what is best for the students. So, some of those characteristics that might help teachers make ethical decisions are like knowledge, empathy for situations students may be going through, reasoning, courage, and even interpersonal skills. So those are all things that you could include in being an ethical teacher to your students. Now, as a professional educator, you must strive to build relationships with students' families as well. And that will also help contribute to students' welfare and education. So that means you strive to, establish relationship with those parents, build trust, and also I think that including openness in your communications with parents is so important and gets them to quote unquote buy in to their students' education and the importance of it. You should respect family privacy and treat information with an appropriate level of confidentiality. Also, respect parents and guardians' rights of inquiry, so the right to ask questions, consultation, and information with regard to their children. As a professional educator, you also strive to promote mutual respect and trust in relationships with your colleagues. That should also be a very high priority for you. And really encourage you to behave in a way that enhances the status of our profession. So take pride in what we do. Take pride in the fact that we're educators and, help the group look good, right? Help the group have a great reputation of doing the right thing. Educators, they should also build an atmosphere of trust, mutual respect, and openness with each other. Educators act within, excuse me, allergies coming through with the new weather, so no fun. Educators act within the educational and wider community in a way which enhances the status of our profession. So that's so important, excuse me, to work continuously to better enhance your knowledge, your understanding, and your cooperation with other people in our profession. Educators also provide a professional service which is responsible to the needs of the community. And I think if one aspect of ethics is overlooked, it is this one: the relationship between educator and the community. And it is so vitally important to your success and the student success. You can achieve this having mutual respect with the community by encouraging the community to participate within the school. Have local businessmen in or other figures in the community in, and let the students have some interaction with them. Be aware of the current concerns and there's social issues within the community. Those, as you know, will ebb and flow. And so make sure you stay on top of what those concerns are. Also, you can promote an interest in the community and environmental issues and provide leadership in identifying the educational needs of the community. So the educational needs of the community could be obviously outside the scope of just your school building, right? So that's really important to consider. And as we discussed last week, the importance of knowing local school policies and procedures. I cannot overstate the importance of that enough. Challenge yourself to learn those local policies and implement an even stricter self-imposed standard on yourself. So actively seek out the local policies And for sure, let's obey those standards, right? So we don't get ourselves or our other people in our schools in trouble. But I would even challenge you further to implement stricter ethics for yourself personally. To me, that is when the sky's the limit, right? When you hold yourself to that high standard. Well, that wraps up our week 5 lecture. Thank goodness, because my voice, I know I'm sure is not fun to listen to. I'm so sorry about that. I hope you did learn something. I hope you reflected on what you already knew, and I hope you have already thought of some ways to be your best ethical leadership self, because that's really what the children need. That's what our students need. They need us to hold ourselves to a high standard, and therefore they can begin holding themselves to a higher standard. Linda Fisher Thornton says, there is no checkbox for ethical leadership. It is an ongoing individual and organizational journey. I love the word journey. Applies so many places in life and to so many aspects of your life. We will never know everything that there is to know. We also talked about that last week. We will never know all there is to know. But us as leaders, we are charged with the responsibility to never stop reflecting, to never stop learning, and to never stop striving for the very best version of ourselves. I am so honored to be on this educational journey with you. I continue to grow personally as I work through courses with you guys and continue to self-reflect. And that is one of the absolute best and most favorite aspects of this job to me. So I really encourage you to do that as well. I look forward to the next course, and I truly hope that you have an amazing week, and I hope you stay safe out there.